fathers. Blessed art thou, O Lord, the God of our fathers, for thou art just in all that thou hast done to us. Blessed art thou, O Lord, God of our fathers.
Wisdom,
The reading is from St. Paul's epistle to the Colossians.
wisdom, let us attend.
Brethren, when Christ, who is our life, appears, then you will also appear with him in glory. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, passion, evil desire, and covetousness, which is idol worship. For the sake of such things the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience, wherein you also once walked, when you lived in these things, but now you also put them all away: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, and filthy language out of your mouths. Do not lie to one another, having put off the old man with his works, having put on the new man, who is being renewed in knowledge according to the image of his Creator, where there cannot be Greek and Jew, circumcision and uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond, or free, but Christ is all and in all.
Peace be to thee that readeth.
To your spirit.
Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia.
Moses and Aaron are among his priests.
Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia.
Righteous cry to the Lord, heard them.
Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Wisdom attend, let us hear the Holy Gospel. Peace be to all. The reading is from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke. The Lord spoke this, let us attend. The Lord spoke this parable. A man once gave a great banquet and invited many. And at the time of the banquet he sent his servants to say to those who had been invited, "Come, for all is now ready." But one by one they began to make excuses. First said to him, "I bought a field and I must go out and see to it. I pray you have me excused." Another said, "I have brought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to examine them. I pray you have me excused." Another said, "I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come." So the servant came and reported this to his master. Then the householder in anger said to his servant, "Go out quickly to the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in the poor and maimed and blind and lame." And the servant said, "Sir, what you have commanded has been done, and there is still room." And the master said to the servant, "Go out to the highways and hedges, and compel people to come, that my house may be filled. For I tell you, none of those men who were invited shall taste of my banquet. For many are called, but few are chosen." Please be seated. Milton, if I can have the stool, please. Thank you. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, now and ever, and to ages of ages. Amen. Clearly, this parable was aimed at the righteous Jews of the day. They were the ones who were supposed to be expecting a Messiah, and the Messiah had come, and the great feast of the Lord was now present for 3 years, when Jesus was wandering around the dusty roads of Palestine and preaching the good news of God, and healing lives, like Matthew and Mary Magdalene, and casting out demons, and healing bodies, like the man with a withered arm, and the woman who had osteoporosis, and the woman with the issue of blood, and on and on and on. And but they didn't come to the feast. They stood back and criticized. "Lord, pray have me excused. I've married a wife. I bought 5 yoke of oxen. I bought new land." And the result was that he went out to the highways and hedges, and he called the publicans, the tax collectors who were hated by the Pharisees, and he called dissolute women, and he called people in Galilee a providence that was looked down upon by the people in Judah, where Jerusalem was, because it wasn't as pure as the people in Judah. And of course, he manned the banquet of the kingdom of heaven with the people who would come. Now, of course, the question with you and I is, what relevance does this have to us? This was aimed at the righteous Jews of his day. But what does it say to you and I? Well, maybe it does have something to say. We are invited to the great banquet of God. Today, what we celebrate, and of course I'm speaking to the faithful now because you're here, but the banquet is the body and blood of Christ, where he offers himself. And this goes on forever in heaven. If you look at the All Saints icon, it shows Jesus standing behind the table altar offering himself to those in heaven, with Dismas, the first one to come to the banquet, joining him. And so here we are for the banquet, but the question is, there's another story he tells about a banquet where one man is kicked out because he doesn't have a wedding garment, a proper robe. And the fathers down through the ages have interpreted this as us not being prepared spiritually. A spiritual robe as opposed to a physical robe. Not keeping a prayer robe. Not under the guidance of a spiritual father and going to confession regularly, improving our lives so we become more what we were intended to be, divine creatures in the likeness and image of God. And so that's the real question. Are we really at the banquet without a wedding garment, without a soul and heart prepared to really live for God alone? And that's the question that's proposed by this parable. We're invited to the banquet. We come to the banquet. But are we spiritually prepared to really feed on the very life of God in the body and blood of Christ? And each one of us needs to examine ourselves and see what we need to do so that going to church is not a kind of social ritual, but it's really entering the kingdom of heaven and allowing God to transform our hearts, our minds, our souls, and our bodies so that we become truly Christ-like. And that's what the banquet is really all about. In the name of the Father, and Son, and Holy Spirit, now and ever, into the ages of ages. Amen. Let us